The email notification flashed across Maria's laptop screen just as she was finishing edits for a luxury fashion campaign in her downtown Boston apartment. Subject: Final Suite 15 prep meeting. Don't miss this one. Maria laughed softly as she opened the family group chat right after. Sophia: You better not tell me work is keeping you in Boston again. Veronica: Tia Maria, if you miss my quince, I'm replacing you with my best friend. Juan Jr.: Bring me sneakers. Mom: Mija, your room is ready. Maria leaned back in her chair and stared out at the skyline of Boston. Luxury high-rises, endless traffic, deadlines, networking events, expensive coffee shops. From the outside, her life looked perfect. At 32 years old, Maria had built the life she once dreamed of. She was a respected marketing editor for a major media company, worked with top brands, traveled often, and had the freedom most people wanted. Yet somehow, her apartment felt quiet, too quiet. She hadn't been home to Houston in over 5 years. 5 years of skipped holidays. 5 years of, maybe next summer. 5 years of choosing career over family. And now her oldest niece, Veronica, was turning 15. A quinceañera wasn't something you missed. Especially not in their family. Maria picked up her phone and called her sister. Please tell me you're finally booking your flight, Sophia answered dramatically. Maria smiled. I already did. Sophia screamed so loudly Maria had to pull the phone from her ear. You're staying with us, right? Maria hesitated. Well, I can work remotely for a couple months. Silence. Then louder screaming. Oh my God, Juan. She's coming home for the summer. Maria laughed for what felt like the first genuine
spent
time
the next
in
week
months.
preparing her apartment
Maybe
for
this
her
was
temporary
exactly
leave.
what she needed. Her assistant begged her not to disappear. Her coworkers were jealous she'd be working remotely from Texas. Her best friend warned her, don't fall in love with some cowboy and never come back. Maria rolled her eyes, as if, still, she couldn't help but smile at the thought. The second Maria stepped off the plane in Houston, everything felt familiar. The heat wrapped around her instantly. The smell of barbecue drifted through the airport. Spanish conversations echoed nearby, and when she spotted her family waiting at baggage claim holding handmade signs, she nearly cried. Her sister Sophia ran toward her first. You look rich. Maria burst out laughing. You look tired. Motherhood. Then came her brother-in-law Juan Ramirez Sr., who pulled her into a warm hug. Welcome home, city girl. Then 15-year-old Veronica appeared. She had grown into a stunning young woman. Tia, Veronica whispered, hugging her tightly. You actually came. That sentence alone broke Maria's heart. I'm not missing another milestone. Little Juan Jr. immediately interrupted. Did you bring my sneakers? Maria handed him the bag. Of course. He screamed in excitement. Sophia and Juan lived about an hour outside the city on a beautiful family ranch. It was peaceful. Open land stretched for miles. Horses ran freely. The sunsets looked painted. Maria forgot how quiet country mornings were. No sirens. No crowded trains. No endless notifications. Just birds chirping and wind brushing through the fields. She quickly found herself slipping into old routines. Morning coffee on the porch. Helping Sophia with Sweet 15 decorations. Late-night family dinners. Watching Veronica practice her dance routines. Riding horses with Juan Jr. And somehow, Maria felt lighter, like she could breathe again. One hot afternoon, Maria walked toward the horse stables looking for Veronica. Instead, she found someone else. A man stood inside one of the stalls helping calm a restless horse. He wore faded jeans, cowboy boots, a black t-shirt. His tan skin glistened under the Texas heat. His hands were rough, his jawline sharp, and his voice calm as he spoke softly to the horse. It's all right, girl. Maria froze. The horse settled instantly. Then he turned around and noticed her staring. Can I help you? His deep voice snapped her back to reality. Maria awkwardly fixed her sunglasses. I was looking for Veronica. He smirked. She's with her dance instructor. Oh, awkward silence. Then he extended his hand. Antonio Reyes, barn manager. Antonio Reyes. Maria shook his hand, and immediately noticed how warm his grip felt. Maria. Antonio smiled slightly. Boston Maria? She blinked. You know who I am? He chuckled. Small town. Your sister talks. Maria laughed. Should I be concerned? Depends what she told you about me. Maria raised an eyebrow. She hasn't mentioned you. Antonio grinned. That's probably for the best. And just like that, Maria felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Butterflies. Real butterflies. That night, Maria sat on the porch watching the Texas sunset. The sky turned orange and pink. Antonio rode horseback across the distant field. For a moment, he looked over and tipped his cowboy hat toward her. Maria smiled despite herself. Her best friend's warning replayed in her head. Don't fall in love with some cowboy. Too late. Something told her this summer was about to change everything. The Texas heat had become familiar. What once felt temporary was beginning to feel dangerously permanent. Maria had now been back in Houston for nearly 3 weeks, and each day somehow pulled her deeper into ranch life. Her mornings started with coffee on the porch with Sophia. Her afternoons were filled with sweet 15 preparations for Veronica. Her evenings were spent at loud family dinners where everyone talked over each other. And somewhere in between, there was always Antonio Reyes. Always. He'd appear helping fix fences, feeding horses, teaching Juan Jr. how to rope, helping Veronica rehearse her father-daughter entrance on horseback for her sweet 15. And every single time Maria saw him, that same nervous flutter returned. It started small, Antonio bringing Maria iced coffee while she helped decorate. You looked stressed. I was stressed. He smirked. You hide it well. Then came the horseback lessons. You ride like someone who learned from YouTube. Maria glared at him. I rode when I was younger. Clearly not well. She laughed so hard she nearly fell off the horse. Antonio quickly grabbed the reins. Their faces inches apart. Both froze. His voice lowered. Careful, city girl. Maria's heart nearly exploded. One afternoon while dress shopping, Veronica narrowed her eyes at Maria. You like him? Maria nearly choked on her drink. I absolutely do not. Veronica gave her a look. Tia, Maria sighed dramatically. He's attractive. Veronica gasped. You totally like him. Maria leaned closer. If you tell your mother, I will deny everything. Veronica laughed. You deserve someone who makes you smile like that. The comment stayed with Maria longer than she expected. That Friday night, Juan hosted a family bonfire on the ranch. Friends, neighbors, music, food trucks, dancing under string lights. It was supposed to be casual. Maria spent far too long choosing an outfit, eventually settling on fitted denim shorts, cowgirl boots, and a flowy off-the-shoulder top. When she stepped outside, Antonio nearly forgot how to breathe. He stared for a second too long. You clean up nice. Maria smiled. You don't look terrible yourself. He laughed, and just like that, the tension between them became impossible to ignore. Later that night, they slipped away from the crowd, walking toward the empty horse fields under the stars. For the first time, they talked, really talked. Antonio shared that he'd grown up working on ranches after losing his father young. He helped Juan build the ranch from the ground up. This land meant everything to him. Maria shared how hard she worked to escape small-town expectations. How Boston gave her ambition, success, freedom, but lately, she wasn't sure freedom felt fulfilling. Antonio looked at her carefully. You seem happy here. Maria looked out at the field. I think I forgot what happiness felt like. His expression softened. You deserve both. Both what? He stepped closer. Success and peace. Her breathing slowed. No one had ever understood her so quickly. Music from the bonfire echoed faintly in the distance. The wind moved softly around them. Antonio tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Maria stopped breathing. His eyes dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes. He leaned closer, until Maria, they jumped apart. It was Sophia yelling from the bonfire. Veronica had accidentally fallen into the decorative cake table. Chaos had erupted. Maria burst into laughter. Antonio shook his head. Your family has incredible timing. As Maria helped clean frosting off Veronica's dress later that night, her niece whispered, So, did y'all kiss? Maria stared at her. You are way too invested in my love life. Veronica grinned. So that's a no? Maria smiled despite herself. Almost. Veronica screamed. And upstairs that night, Maria laid awake replaying every second with Antonio. She looked at her return flight confirmation email to Boston. Her flight was in 6 weeks. For the first time in years. Going back didn't feel exciting. It felt heartbreaking. The sweet 15 is only 2 weeks away. And somehow avoiding Antonio Reyes had become impossible. After the bonfire, everything changed. The lingering looks became longer. The accidental touches felt intentional. And both of them were now fully aware of what almost happened in that field. For 3 days straight, Antonio becomes distant. No teasing, no surprise iced coffees, no horseback lessons, nothing. Maria pretends not to care. She throws herself into work meetings for her Boston marketing firm, helps Veronica finalize Sweet 15 details. But internally, She's losing her mind. One night she finally confronts him in the barn. Did I imagine what happened between us? Antonio looks wrecked, tired, conflicted. No. Then why are you avoiding me? He finally admits, because you're leaving. That hits harder than she expected. And I'm not built for temporary things, Maria. Phew, now she's shaken. That same night, Maria drives into town angry and emotional. Texas weather shifts fast. A huge storm rolls in. Her car gets stuck near a dirt road close to the ranch. Phone service dies. She panics. Guess who finds her? Antonio, on horseback in the rain after noticing she never came home. Very dramatic, very cinematic. He helps her into an old cabin on the property while they wait for the storm to pass. They're soaked, arguing, breathing hard, tension everywhere. You shouldn't have come after me. I always would. Silence. That line changes everything. Inside the cabin. Thunder outside, power flickering, soaked clothes, one blanket, way too much tension. Maria starts laughing from pure stress. Antonio starts laughing too. Then silence. He brushes wet hair from her face. Tell me to stop, she whispers. I don't want you to. And they share their first real kiss. Slow, passionate, built-up emotion finally exploding. The next morning Maria wakes up happy. Until she overhears Sofia talking to Juan, and learns something shocking. Antonio was recently offered partial ownership of the ranch, but it requires him to stay in Texas permanently. Meanwhile, Maria gets a call from her company in Boston. They want to promote her. But she has to return immediately. Now both of them are being forced to choose their dream careers, or each other. The barn was quieter than usual. Too quiet. No country music playing from Antonio's truck. No teasing comments. No laughter from Juan Jr. nearby. Just the sound of horses shifting in their stalls and Maria's growing frustration. Maria stormed inside wearing leggings, an oversized hoodie, and messy hair pulled into a bun. She found Antonio repairing a saddle strap. He looked up, then immediately looked back down. That irritated her even more. Seriously? Antonio kept working. Maria? No. She crossed her arms. You don't get to do that. Do what? Act like nothing happened. His jaw tightened. We kissed. Silence. The horses shuffled nearby. Maria stepped closer. You held my face like I was something precious. Antonio's hands stopped moving. You kissed me like you meant it. He swallowed hard but still refused to meet her eyes. And then you disappeared. Finally, he looked at her, and she immediately saw the conflict in his face. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't been sleeping either. I'm trying to do the right thing. Maria laughed bitterly. Well, it feels awful. He stood now, towering over her. Cowboy hat low over his eyes. You think this has been easy for me? Then explain it. He ran a frustrated hand over his face. You leave in a few weeks. Maria blinked. What? You leave? His voice cracked slightly. You go back to Boston. He stepped closer. To your big apartment. To your career. To your life. And I stay here. His eyes locked onto hers. And then what? Maria opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Antonio continued. I've watched people leave my entire life. That made her freeze. His voice dropped lower. My father left promises behind before he died. My mother left pieces of herself trying to survive. And the only thing that's ever stayed. He looked around the barn. Is this place, the horses, the ranch, the land, the life he built. Maria's anger slowly dissolved into heartbreak. Antonio? He shook his head. No. His voice became raw. You make me want things I promised myself I'd never want. Her breathing became shaky. What things? He stepped impossibly closer. A future that may not exist. A woman I can wake up next to. Kids running through this ranch. Coming home and knowing someone chose to stay. Maria's eyes filled instantly. And I'm not built for temporary things, Maria. Silence consumed the room. Her tears finally fell. You don't know that this is temporary. Antonio looked wrecked. Then tell me it isn't. That stopped her cold. Because she couldn't. Her job, her apartment, her entire life was waiting in Boston. And for the first time, that life didn't feel as certain as it once did. Maria whispered. You're asking me questions I don't have answers to yet. Antonio nodded painfully. And that's exactly what scares me. She stepped forward anyway, placed her hand over his. You scare me too. His breathing hitched. How? Because for the first time, she looked up at him. I'm questioning a life I worked so hard to build. He stared at her like she just shattered him. Then softly, that's not something I ever wanted to take from you. Maria smiled through tears. You didn't take anything. She moved closer. You just made me realize success means nothing if I'm unhappy. That nearly broke him. He leaned his forehead against hers. Neither of them speaking, just breathing, just feeling, and then, he whispered, "If I kiss you again." Maria smiled softly, then stopped talking. The morning of Veronica's Sweet 15 arrived with chaos. Hairstylists rushed through the house. Makeup artists took over every mirror. Family members yelled in both English and Spanish. Someone forgot flowers, someone forgot shoes, someone cried, twice, and through all of it, Maria forced herself to focus. Because thinking about Antonio would ruin her. After their conversation in the barn 3 nights ago, they hadn't spoken, not once, no texts, no accidental run-ins, nothing, and somehow silence hurt worse than rejection. Sophia walked in quietly. "You look beautiful." Maria smiled softly. "Thank you." Sophia studied her sister's face. "What's wrong?" Maria immediately lied. "Nothing." Sophia laughed. "You've had the same lying face since you were 12. Maria exhaled. "I think I'm falling for someone. I may have to leave." Sophia softened instantly. "And does he love you?" Maria froze. "I don't know." Sophia smiled. "Men like him don't look at women casually." The venue was breathtaking. A luxury ranch ballroom decorated with blush roses, candles, chandeliers, and elegant Western touches. Guests flooded in. Music played. Then everyone gasped. Veronica made her grand entrance on horseback with Juan beside her. And leading the horse? Antonio Reyes, wearing a black tailored suit. No cowboy hat. Clean haircut. Completely unfair. Maria forgot how to breathe. And then he looked at her. Across an entire ballroom. And completely forgot where he was. That same ache returned instantly. Later that night everyone crowded the dance floor. Maria tried having fun. She danced with family, laughed with Veronica, took pictures, pretended she was okay. Then a slow song came on. And suddenly Antonio stood in front of her. "Dance with me." Not a question. Her heart raced. We probably shouldn't do a lot of things." She nearly smiled, and then he held out his hand. She took it. His hand rested on her waist. Her hand shook in his. Their bodies dangerously close. "What are we doing?" she whispered. Antonio stared at her. "Trying not to ruin your niece's Sweet 15. She laughed through tears. "That's very considerate." His face turned serious. "I leave tomorrow morning." Her entire body froze. "What?" He nodded. "Cattle convention in Dallas." That wasn't what scared her. What scared her was the possibility of him leaving emotionally too. "I thought you were avoiding me." "I was trying." "And?" His jaw tightened. He pulled her slightly closer. "I failed." Just as their faces drift closer, again, Veronica appears dramatically between them. "Absolutely not." They jump apart. Maria nearly screams. Antonio bursts into laughter. Veronica points aggressively. "If y'all are gonna have your movie moment, do it after my party." Maria covers her face in embarrassment. Antonio laughs harder than she's ever heard. Veronica walks away dramatically. "This night is about me." Later that night after the party ends, Maria goes outside for air. Her flight back to Boston is in 5 days. Antonio finds her near the stables. This time, no interruptions, no excuses, no running. The Sweet 15 had finally ended. The music faded, guests slowly left, workers began breaking down decorations. And for the first time all night, everything felt quiet. Maria Maldonado slipped away toward the stables still wearing her emerald gown. Her heels in one hand, bare feet brushing against the cool grass. She sat near the wooden fence staring at the Texas sky. And cried, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears she could no longer hold back. Because tomorrow made everything real. Her flight back to Boston was in 5 days. Summer was ending, and somehow this ranch had become home. Then she heard boots behind her. She didn't need to turn around. She knew exactly who it was. Antonio stopped beside her. For once, neither of them spoke. Then he quietly sat next to her. Still dressed in his black suit. Tie loosened, hair slightly messy from the night. He looked exhausted, and completely heartbroken. When he noticed the tears on her face, his entire expression softened. "Don't cry." Maria laughed bitterly. "That's your solution? If you cry?" He swallowed hard. "I might completely lose whatever control I have left." That made her look at him. Antonio stared at her like she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "I never expected you to have this kind of effect on me." Her breathing shook. "Neither did I." He looked down. "I tried to stay away. I noticed. I thought distance would make this easier." He laughed softly at himself. "It made me miserable." Maria's tears returned. Antonio? He looked at her, and she let everything out. It breaks my heart knowing tonight could be our last night together. He looked shattered, and what hurts even more, she stepped closer, is knowing you're willing to give up on us without even trying. He froze. Maria continued, we haven't gone on one official date. His lips twitched. That's true, we haven't learned how annoying we can be. He laughed softly. You're definitely annoying. She shoved him lightly. He smiled. Then she turned serious again. What we have feels rare. What if this is something real? What if we're both walking away because we're scared? Antonio stared at her, silent, listening. We both love our careers. We both worked hard for our lives. I'm not asking you to leave Texas. And I'm not ready to leave Boston. He nodded slowly. So what are you asking? Her voice softened. Let's stop putting pressure on forever. He looked confused. Maria smiled through tears. Let's be friends. Antonio laughed. Friends? She smiled. Yes. He raised an eyebrow. You're standing in front of me looking like that and you want friendship? She laughed through tears. You know what I mean. He stepped closer. Explain. Visit me in Boston one weekend. I'll come home more. We talk. We date. We figure it out. And if this is truly meant to be. Her voice cracked. We'll know. Antonio stared at her like she had just given him oxygen again. You'd really do that? I'm trying. He stepped closer. So am I. Silence. Then he softly brushed her tears away. You make me want to be reckless. Maria whispered. Maybe for once that's not such a bad thing. His eyes dropped to her lips. Then back to her eyes. This feels like the moment I should kiss you. Her heart stopped. She whispered. What's stopping you? He smiled softly. Nothing. And finally, he kisses her again. Slow. Intentional. Worth every second of waiting. And this kiss? The next few days felt different. Lighter. Softer. Hopeful. There was no pressure to solve everything overnight. No dramatic ultimatums. No promises they weren't ready to make. Just two people choosing to try. And somehow, that felt even more romantic. Maria spent her final days soaking in every moment with her family. She helped Sophia clean up leftover Sweet 15 decorations. Spent an entire afternoon shopping with Veronica. Took Juan Jr. out for ice cream after he dramatically claimed he was emotionally recovering from the cake disaster. And every evening, Antonio found his way to her. Sometimes it was a quick coffee run. Sometimes a drive through back roads with country music playing softly. Sometimes just sitting on the porch saying nothing at all. Their fingers intertwined quietly, both of them trying not to think about goodbye. The morning of her flight back to Boston arrived far too quickly. The entire family insisted on taking her to the airport in Houston. The car ride was unusually quiet, everyone pretending they weren't emotional. Until Juan Jr. broke the silence. Can you just work remote forever? Everyone laughed through their sadness. At the airport, hugs lasted longer than usual. Her brother-in-law Juan Ramirez Sr. hugged her tightly. This will always be home. Then Veronica wrapped her arms around Maria and immediately started crying. You better come back for prom. Maria laughed through tears. I'll be here. Veronica pulled back and smiled knowingly. And for Antonio, Maria blushed instantly. Before she could respond, Sophia hugged her next, holding her a little tighter. We know you'll be back home. Maria's eyes filled. Soft. Sophia smiled warmly. What you and Antonio have. She looked toward the sky like she already knew. It's real, and this is only the beginning. Maria completely broke down crying. You're supposed to make this easier. Sophia laughed. I'm your big sister. That's not my job. Maria hugged everyone one last time before walking through security. And for the first time in her life, leaving Houston felt harder than leaving anywhere else. She boarded her flight, placed her bag overhead, sat by the window, and exhaled shakily. Her heart ached, but this time, there was hope mixed in with the sadness. Just as the flight attendants began preparing for takeoff, her phone buzzed. Her heart raced when she saw his name. Antonio Red Heart. Her hands trembled as she opened the text. Antonio. Safe flight back, city girl. Please let me know when you arrive safely. I'll see you soon. Just as the flight attendants began preparing for takeoff, her phone buzzed. Her heart raced when she saw his name. Antonio Hart. Her hands trembled as she opened the text. Maria stared at the screen, then smiled through tears. She typed back. Maria. See you soon, Cowboy Red Heart. As the plane lifted into the clouds, Maria looked out the window smiling. For the first time, going back to Boston didn't feel like the end. It felt like the beginning of something worth fighting for.